Hey, everybody, welcome back to Cooking with Truett. So today we got a special cook. It's one of my family's favorites. We're gonna do a spiral stuffed pork loin. We're gonna stuff it with capacola, pepperoni, different cheeses like shredded mozzarella, pepper jack cheese. We got all the ingredients right here. And I'm gonna do a full price breakdown, and I'm gonna show you how I take this $10 pork loin and I feed my entire family on this awesome cook. We're gonna stuff it. We're gonna, fillet that bad boy open and pound it out. We're gonna stuff it. We're gonna tie it up and season it, and tie it up and smoke it. It's gonna be awesome, y'all. So y'all stay tuned, and we'll see y'all in just a few. All right, so one thing I do when I'm doing some stuffed pork loin is I like to take the fat cap off. Normally, I would not do this to meat, but on a slow roast like this, I'm not doing like a hard sear on pork chops or something like that. So it just makes for a more tender bite, and easier bite. So I'll take the tip of my knife, sharp knife, there it is. I'll go underneath that fat cap, angle the knife upward, and then just take that fat cap off, because there's a layer of silver skin underneath the fat cap. And I usually do that when I do the stuffed pork loin. So if I was doing some pork chops, get a really hard sear on it on the grill, usually leave the fat cap on because its flavor's good, but for this one, I usually just take it off, and I'll do that to the whole thing. And then we'll butterfly this thing open in just a minute. All right, so as you can see, we've got the pork loin trimmed. We got the fat cap off. We got that layer of silver skin underneath off. It's just, for this kind of cook, it just makes for a better bite, a better eating experience. Normally I wouldn't cut fat off of anything, but this time is one of the rare times I do. So we've got both sides of the pork loin trimmed, ready to go. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start the butterflying, fillet this bad boy open. So I want y'all to kind of see how I do it. So what I'll do is I'll take a really, really sharp knife, and I'm gonna come over just about 1/4 inch or so, and I'm gonna slice down the pork loin, and then I'm gonna turn my knife this way, and I'm gonna go slice under it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slowly slice into it, folding it over, slicing into it. So you'll see in just a minute. So I'm gonna take my knife, come over, because you don't want to be at the edge. You want to give yourself a little bit of room. Super sharp knife. And just go down. You do not want to cut all the way through, because you'll have holes in your meat, and it'll be hard to stuff because you'll have holes everywhere. You see what I'm doing? I'm just slicing down the edge of the meat. It's almost giving yourself like a little border on the other side, but just remember, do not slice all the way through. So that's almost done there. I'm gonna lay that side down. Now I'm gonna turn my knife this way, and you can see the knife's gonna run about that deep, and leaving myself just a little bit of room. Don't go all the way to the bottom. And I'm gonna fillet it open. So now I'm gonna take my knife, turn it sideways, dig in there deep, and we're just gonna butterfly this thing open. Just remember, don't go all the way through. See? And if you've ever filleted fish or anything like that, the concept is the exact same. Another thing my wife wanted me to make mention, that anytime I'm messing with meat like this, I always dry it off and pat it dry, get all the moisture and all the juice and all the water off the meat. way easier to work with. And moisture is not your friend in the cooking process. So, and I'm just slowly butterflying it open, and I'm gonna get this flat turned over, and I'm just gonna keep going till I'm at the end. Just remember, don't go to the very, very end. You wanna leave yourself right there. Yeah. You see how it's starting to take shape? And then I'm gonna keep doing the same thing, filleting it over. And then when I get it completely done, I'm gonna take the mallet, I'm gonna take this right here, and I'm gonna pound it out super, super thin. So it's gonna make it really big, really thin, and then it'll be easy to work with. It'll be easy to season and stuff and layer with all the good stuff, the capacola, the pepperoni, the cheese, the sour cream. And then when we're done with that, we're gonna roll it up, make it a spiral pork loin. We're gonna tie it and smoke it. So we'll see y'all back in a minute. All right, so as you can see, I'm basically done. I got one little gouge here, but I'll cover that up when I roll it and tie it and smoke it. So anyway, this is basically what you're going for, just butterflying it open. And there's some thick spots in the pork loin, and wherever there's thick spots, just run your knife across it, and it'll help just lay it down flat. So you don't have, really thin piece over here and a really thick piece over here. Just run your knife across the thick edges like that, and it'll help it just lay down even flatter, and it'll help it cook even. So this is what we're good with. I'm about to put some plastic over it. About to pound this bad boy out and keep on going. All right, so I got plastic wrap over it, and one of the reasons why I do that is so when I'm pounding the pork loin, hitting it really hard to get it flattened out and really thin and make it a whole lot bigger, is to keep little pieces of pork loin flying all over the place. So this just helps keep it clean, and so you ain't got raw pork splashing all over your kitchen. But I'm gonna take the flat side of the mallet, I'm gonna start in the center of the pork loin, and I'm literally just gonna start pounding it like this. Especially getting the thicker parts of the pork loin, but I want the whole thing the same size all the way around to have one massive thin piece of pork loin. And don't do what I just did and smash your stinking finger with the mallet. I had my hand like this and I was pounding it and it slipped and I literally hit the corner of my finger, so that hurt like crap. Anyway, so back to it. So the pork loin is pounded thin all the way around, and it's basically doubled in size. So now I got to take the whole pork loin and flip it the other way because it's gotten so big and it's so thin. So now I need to reposition it to give myself some room because it's gotten so big. Because earlier it was like from here to here. Now it's literally covering the entire cutting board, which is good. You want it thin all the way around, and of course I got one gap, but I'll fix that while I'm rolling it and tying it. So super thin. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hit this one spot. Just real thick right there. And that's, you see how that pork's flying up? That's why I put that plastic piece over that. But anyway, it's pounded out thin. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna season it, salt, pepper, garlic. I'm gonna spread some sour cream over it, and then I'm gonna start laying it with the capacola, layer of cheese, layer of pepperoni, another layer of cheese. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll, and then you'll see what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll it up and tie it and season the outside and the inside, maximum flavor, and then we're gonna put this bad boy on the smoker. All right, so now, pro tip, this is gonna help you in your cooking in your kitchen. It's gonna help your marriage with your spouse, making a humongous mess in the kitchen, because every time I make a mess, the wife don't like it. So pro tip, put your meat, your food, whatever you're seasoning, put it in the sink and season it over the sink, because if you don't, you'll get seasoned all over the counter, all over the floor, and that's not gonna make anybody happy. But anyway, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take salt, pepper, and garlic, and I'm just gonna season it, and I'm gonna do the same thing. And I'm just gonna do a light coating of salt, pepper, and garlic. And do this for easy cleanup. And this is a big piece of meat, so just remember, everybody, don't be afraid to season it good, because nobody likes, or some people like bland food. I do not. So good coating of salt. And we're gonna do the same thing with pepper and garlic. And then we'll be right back to finish off the other toppings. All right, so now that I got it seasoned, salt, pepper, garlic, I got it seasoned over the sink to not make the missus irritated. So one thing, if you don't have a big sink, you just got a small single sink, you can still put your food over the sink no matter how big or small it is. Season it over the sink so it's a lot easier for cleanup. So now when I'm gonna come over here, and as you can see is I got a wet paper towel over here. And this is one thing I do with everything when I'm cutting meat, trimming meat, doing anything. You put your cutting board or whatever you're working with over that wet, that damp piece of paper towel. It actually keeps the cutting board from slipping, because if you got a cutting board just on a regular surface, it's gonna slide around like you're ice skating. So it'll help keep it sturdy, and it'll help the cutting board from sliding around so you don't stab yourself or cut yourself. So we're about to layer on the rest of the toppings. All right, so now we're going with the sour cream portion. And if you're my wife on the camera, she's back here laughing at me because we've had to do a couple of different takes, just being funny. This is gonna give you some creaminess to the dish. A lot of people overcook their pork, and that's why a lot of people don't like cooked pork, because they overcook it, they think it's dry. I'm definitely not gonna overcook this one, but I'm also giving it some extra creaminess with the sour cream. And we're gonna layer on the other toppings, but I'm gonna throw this on there, spread it out thin, spread it out even, and this is gonna bring a lot of creaminess to the dish. So, all right, so we're about to get these toppings put on. So, honey, if you can, do a slow camera roll on these awesome toppings, and we're gonna get this thing layered up. So first we're going down with the pepper jack, and you gotta make it cheesy. No matter what you're doing, gotta make it cheesy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave myself a border along the pork loin. So when I'm rolling it, because when you roll it up and tie it, all the toppings are gonna start squishing together. So you wanna leave yourself a little bit of border, because while it's cooking, if you put your cheese right here to the edge, the cheese, as it melts, is gonna ooze out the side, and I don't want all the cheese oozing out the side. I want it to stay on the inside. So I'm gonna quickly try to run through this as quick as possible. Get the pepper jack layered on. And then we're gonna go with the capacola. So, and as you can see, I'm leaving a border here and a border there. Make it good. And we're probably gonna use the whole pack. So it's usually, when I do this, it's 12 pieces of cheese, 12 pieces of meat, layered across. Works out perfect. Pepper jack, we like a lot of spice, a lot of flavor, but it's not too spicy. So I like stupidly spicy food. My family does not. They like just normal, regular spicy. So pepper jack, add some good flavor. So there's the pepper jack. I left myself a little border on the outside for when I roll it up. So now we're gonna go to the capacola. This is one of my wife's favorite deli meats. Later on the capacola. And you'll see later on as I'm rolling it and tying it, and then at the end of the video when I'm slicing through, you'll see how we turn this into a spiral cut pork loin. All right, there's capacola. Save her a few pieces of capacola for her to make herself something later. So we got first layer pepper jack, layer capacola. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the shredded mozzarella. I'm gonna take this glove off so I don't get raw pork or anything on my cheese. Then I'm gonna sprinkle on more cheese, so shredded mozzarella, make it cheesy. Just layers and layers of flavor. lot of cheese, gonna be good. All right. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go on with the pepperoni. I'm gonna put my glove back on. Pepperoni's greasy. And honey come in and got the cheese on the side. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna layer this pepperoni on. More and more flavor. I'm gonna put the pepperoni closer to the end because that'll help keep the cheese from leaking out the side. And we'll put a pretty good bit of pepperoni on this thing. And I'll finish doing this pepperoni and we'll be back in a minute to roll this bad boy up and tie it and get it on the smoker. All right, so now we got it layered up. So we got salt, pepper, garlic, got a pretty good thick layer of sour cream. Then we went down with sliced pepper jack cheese, went with a layer of capacola, went with some shredded mozzarella cheese, layered on a bunch of pepperoni, and then topped it off and sprinkled a little bit more mozzarella on top. So this is gonna be packed full of flavor. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slowly roll this thing up. And after we get it rolled up, we're gonna tie it and get it on the smoker. So you can get a close up on this. So what I'm gonna do is that's why you wanna not have a bunch of holes gashed in your pork loin. So this is what I'm gonna do is you wanna just slowly, I'm gonna pat it down first, make sure all the toppings don't slide all over the place because they will. And then slowly you wanna do it tight, but slowly start to wrap it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold that over and I'm gonna pull it tight. And as you're rolling it, kind of stuffing it like a burrito, but you want it really, really, really tight. So what I'll do is I'll pull it towards me a little bit and then keep on rolling. And so those toppings, and that's why I left that border on the side, so when I'm rolling it, all the cheese and stuff don't come flopping out. As you can see, there's one gash in the pork loin, so that's why I'm starting from this end, so all those toppings don't come out. And just be slow. And the good thing about that sour cream, I'll have sour cream all over the outside of it. So when I go to season the outside, all that seasoning will stick. Pull it to me a little bit, tightly, keep on rolling. And I'm gonna just keep doing this till it's done and we'll see y'all back in a minute. All right, so now we've got it rolled up, just easy does it, just go slow with it and pack that stuff in tight. So now that we've got it rolled up, this is the end of the pork loin and you can see all that gooey cheese and stuff right on top. So I'm gonna keep this pointed up so when it cooks, it all don't come puddling out the bottom. So I'm gonna take some butcher's twine that we cut, butcher's twine, and I'm gonna tie it up so it don't fall apart on the smoker. And I'm gonna do the ends, and you want this part tight so it don't unravel while you're cooking. So one loop, two loop, and just tie it super tight. And then another knot, and boom, snip that. And then I'll take another one and I'm gonna come on this end, do the same thing. So go one loop around, two loops around, tie that bad boy tight, one more knot, boom, and we'll snip the extra off. And we're just gonna do that, and we're gonna have about 5 pieces of butcher's twine on it. That just holds it together while it's cooking. And yeah, looking great already. All right, so we got it completely tied up. So you can see a knot here, 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 and here, so it's not gonna fall apart. And the seam is on very, very top with all that cheese, so it's not gonna come flooding out as it's cooking. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this cutting board, I'm gonna bring it over here to the sink, be careful with it, and then I'm going to continue to season it over the sink so I don't make a mess, so the wife don't kill me. So I'm gonna start from the bottom, just be careful with it so you don't knock all that stuff off. So season the bottom of it. SPG, salt, pepper, garlic. Pepper. And garlic. This is granulated garlic. Some people like garlic powder. I'll use them both, but granulated garlic's a little bit thicker because sometimes garlic powder can get clumpy. So a lot of times I like to use granulated garlic over garlic powder, and then I'm gonna slowly rotate it so I can season the top side. Salt. Pepper. And garlic. This is definitely going to be a flavor bomb of a spiral stuffed smoked pork loin. Get the sides. Now I'm going to take this thing back over here. And we're going to get it on a tray. Another pro tip. I'm gonna put it on a cookie sheet with aluminum foil and some wire racks, so all that cheese and all that juice and everything don't drip down in the smoker. It makes for easy cleanup. So we're gonna get this bad boy on the smoker. Alrighty, let's get this cook underway. Got the smoker going at 180. It's super cold outside here in Alabama, and as you can see, the snow flurries. But we're about to get this cook underway. Get the smoke rolling, and because it's on a metal tray, it's gonna catch any juice, any cheese to keep the smoker clean. I'm gonna slide that baby in. Let it do its thing. We're going to probably spin it and rotate it every 30 minutes to an hour. It's probably going to be about a 3.5 hour cook, give or take. But at the very end, we're going to bump up the temp and char up that top side and char up all that cheese. We're going to let it smoke for about 3.5 hours, and we'll see y'all in a little bit. In the snow, smoking. Got no jacket on. I mean, hey, this is cooking at its best, baby. Cooking with Truett. Alrighty, so it's been on the smoker for 3 hours, and it's barely at like 100 degrees internal temp. And I needed around 145, 150 degrees internal temp, so I don't overcook the pork loin, but you don't want it medium rare either, so 145-ish is the sweet spot internal temp. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it off the smoker. It's so cold, the smoker is having a hard time staying up to temp, so I'm gonna finish this bad boy in the oven. So we're gonna stick this sucker in the oven, let it finish, because it's cooking too slow because it's way too stinking cold outside. All right, we're going into the oven because it's too stupidly cold outside for the smoker to stay at temp. So 300 degrees in the oven. We'll finish this bad boy, get it to 145 degrees internal temp. All right, this bad boy is done. It was a total of 3 hours on the smoker and a little over an hour in the oven. So we're gonna cut it down the middle. You're gonna see why I call it a stuffed spiraled pork loin. Capacola, cheese, pepperoni, cut this thing down the middle. Ooh-wee. I don't want to squeeze it too much, buddy. You can get all that juice. Look at that. Look at that. So it turned out perfect. The internal temp is about 150 on the outside and about 145 in the center. It's a little bit more done on the outside just because the outside of the pork loin is a little bit smaller. So this is like butter, so let's spin this around. Look at that. Good stuff. All right, everybody, that cookie's a wrap. That meal is over and done. And that spiral stuff smoked pork loin was stinking amazing. So I actually got a full price breakdown. I'm gonna go over with you what all I used, how much everything cost, and how much the whole meal cost us. So the pork loin, so this is gonna be all after tax. So the pork loin was $10. The capacola was $5. The pepperoni, I used about $2 worth of the pepperoni we had. The sliced pepper jack was $2.50. The shredded mozzarella was about $3 worth. And we used maybe 50 cents worth of sour cream. So total, after the pork loin, the capacola, the pepperoni, and all the cheeses and the sour cream, the total for that meal comes out to $23. And that actually fed 6 people. And we even had leftovers. So we fed 6 people, still had leftovers, and it actually come out to only $3.84 per person for that meal. So only $3.84 per person for that meal. And if you know me and my big old appetite, I ate enough to feed about 3 or 4 different people. So I definitely ate my body's weight in that stuff. But anyway, super easy cook, 3 hours on the smoker, a little over an hour in the oven to finish it off. So about 4.5 hour total cook time. That's spiral smoked stuffed pork loin, $23 for the whole meal. It fed 6 people, still had leftovers, and it was only $3.50, almost $4 per person. You literally can't beat that. It was all you can eat because we still had leftovers. It was a good meal, a cheap meal. And that's how you cook for an army on the cheap. And this is Cooking with Truett. And until next time, I'll see you on the next video. Peace.